It's a warm welcome to Breeding to Win, which for most part of the country has been a chilly weekend. However, we hope to warm you up on this Sunday evening. Of course, with our show being recorded on a Saturday, we look forward to bringing you all the highlights of the Investic Derby Festival that took place over the weekend, including the brilliant win of Tagura in, of course, the Epsom Oaks, sponsored by Investic on the Friday. Well, on our show this evening, we look forward to introducing you to James Maree, who's not only been an integral part of the Work Riders School, but has supported the Work Riders in the Work Riders Challenges and Series. We also invite into the studio this evening Chamu Mabaya, who is the champion work rider for 2013-2014 season. We look at the 10-bar syndicate launched by trainer Goosen and a whole lot more on tonight's show. So stay with us as we now look at some of the news that's coming across the country. And of course, the highlights at this stage of course, we set for another great duel this season between the champion jockey, trainer and breeder of the season. Let's take a closer look. Samanga Kumalo with 163 winners. I mean, he's really doing everything he can to win the top jockey of the season this year, and it really would be great to see Samanga notch up his first championship. He's had 1,198 rides, so he's been really riding extremely well with 163 wins. Richard Faree, however, close behind him on 137, and then last year's champion jockey Pierce Striker Stradum on 125 victories. So those are our top 10 jockeys up until the 5th of June. Also, Justin Snaith, well, he's leading the log with a total stakes of over 15 million rand. Jeff Woodruff, 13 million. And of course, Sean Terry behind him on 12 million, with Mike de Kock back in that 4th position with just over 10 million. And of course, it's all going to come down to the KwaZulu-Natal season. And of course, the highlight of being the Vodacom Durban July. And then looking at the breeders, once again a tough duel there between champion breeders Summerhill Stud with a total stakes of over 12, close to 13 million rand, and Claverflay Stud once again right up there, right on their heels of 12,539,000 rand. Well, a great pleasure to have into the studio this evening on our Breeding to Win show, James Maree. As we've known you, James, over the last couple of years as a trainer, prior to that as a jockey. I know you and my dad rode a lot in a lot of races together, but great to have you and a huge privilege for me. And of course, Chamu Mabaya, our champion work rider of the series. Congratulations, a great accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ali.
James, just as you started with the Work Riders School, I just wanted to ask you, what was your first idea of getting it going, and what was the idea behind it?
Actually, quite a few years back, I just felt, Work Riders needed an academy or something just to get the basics in place. Horses were becoming very expensive, and it was heartbreaking to see some of the work riders sitting in the wrong place, going to the tracks in the morning. So it was mostly just to try and get them to get the basics in place, seat, balance and grip. And we talk about their seat, just to make sure that they're sitting in the right place, etc. and that, and their balance and their grip. So it was mostly just to improve their riding overall. I just felt that it was time that we looked at that, because it was heartbreaking to see some of the riders sitting in the wrong place, especially going to the track in the morning and riding the horses. I think the long-term effect, it's all right if you do it once a day, but if you do it for month in and month out in the wrong place, it can affect especially young horses and babies. So I think that was the most important. We never thought it was going to get to this stage, but it was mostly just to improve their riding overall in general.
And also, I mean, you're dealing with horses that it cost millions. You know, that's the thing. I mean, they obviously cost a lot more than some cars that we drive, you know.
That's right. And, you know, we had quite a lot of incompetent work riders, and I felt just the work riders and the grooms, they spend a lot of time with horses. Just felt it's nice if we can just get the basics in place with them so that at least they know where to sit and those kind of things.
Has the school produced any professional jockeys?
Yeah, we have. We've produced quite a few. Very unfortunate, we lost quite a few riders through car injuries and accidents, etc. Louis and Clark is one that's done us proud. You know, it takes a long time to become a jockey, and you've got to be committed and to really sacrifice and stay on the track all the time. It's not easy even for anybody. You know, you've been in the game a long time, and I just felt that, you know, we're training these blokes and throwing in the deep end. We need to support them as well as far as that's concerned.
What's the attendance of the school? How many years? What's the program?
Well, it's a 4-month course. They come for 4 months on 2-3 times a week. And then if the blokes show any potential or any ability or skills or talent, then they come back to an advanced course and they can go further. And if they really show that they've got the commitment and the sacrifice and all that, they can go all the way right to the top and become professional jockeys. So that is a way for them.
Chamu, now when you first started with the James Maree program, of course, so when you joined the Work Rider School, you were already riding work for a couple of the trainers, and they obviously suggested that you go through. Just tell us how it's changed your life.
Yeah, Julie, it really changed. I was work riding, but you know, without the experience, without the knowledge, and without knowing the basics of work riding. But when I went to James Maree School, everything changed, you know. I learned more about the horse, more about work riding, more about handling horses at the track. Now, to tell you, at the track, I think the work riders are better than the jockeys at the track. They can only beat us in the races because that is their professional. But at the track, we are the best. We work these are expensive horses, these nice horses for the trainers, and we hold them very well. We know them very well because we're with them every day. And it's all thanks to the Work Rider School.
Absolutely, and I think it's a huge part for any trainer to have somebody at work to actually give them that feedback, James. So you're obviously teaching them a lot of the basics from your riding skills as well.
Yeah, Julie, we must also realise that jockeys today are riding 7 days a week all over the country, so they haven't got the time, really. You know, they can't go to work in the morning and go gallop horses and get to the airport and ride all over the country. So we need these work riders on a daily basis. We really need them there. And it's nice to get to the track in the morning and you've got a competent work rider that's got race riding experience and they know how fast a horse can go and, you know, you can't gallop horse all the way, etc. So that race riding experience makes all the difference. Then you've got an idea how fast you can go with a horse, when you can start pushing him, etc. So that's something you can't buy, that practical experience that these blokes are getting. So that makes a big difference.
Obviously, with a 4-month course, these guys have to be committed because it's taken them, it's their own time that they're actually producing to the school.
That's right. It's at their leisure time, so we're not interfering with their work at the stables. So it's from 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and we try and get them back at the stables in time. So it's their leisure time, you know, and they start early, so it's really a time they're going to have a break. So they're committed. And I must say a lot of them are really dedicated and really tried very hard. And we've seen the success. You know, we're trying to produce riders to ride in races in 4 months' time. And, you know, it's a dangerous sport, etc. And I think that they've done well considering that we can have our whole race day without any serious incidents. There's a lot of money being punted on these horses. And I think they've done well. A take apprentice, usually a 5-year apprenticeship, and then it's not to say he's still going to get to the races. So the few that have done it have done really well, and we've got some very competent work riders. You know, everything's in place. All the basics are in place, and it's so easy. You get excited during a race. You're close to the winning post, and you've got a chance to win. And then everything falls apart. It happens to that. It happened to me as apprentice. I know I've done the same thing. So trying just to stay calm and most important thing to stay in the correct place, because you get excited and you start pushing with your shoulder, with your hips and your behind and all that, and everything moves. And you don't realize that the feet, your position of your feet are the most important. If you keep your feet in the correct position, then everything else will flow. But once you put your feet too far back or too far forward, then you start lying on the horse's back. So they've done well that they've come a long way.
Chamu, I need to ask you, because it's very different riding at the track than in races, fitness-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, when you first started riding in a race, how difficult was it for your body to adjust?
Actually, it was very difficult, because I remember the first time on my first ride, I had to ride with 54.5 kilograms.
Sure.
And on the same day when I got to the races, I was weighing nearly 59. And likely I was riding around race 7. It was a big day.
Yeah.
I was riding around race 7. So I
So
had
you had
to sweat.
to take off like
Yes.
6 kilo, almost 5.5
Yes,
kilograms to weigh in
yeah.
at, oh my
Yes.
word.
And when I started the rest day, in the machine, I was nervous. First time out, went out of the gates, just gave the horse a run. I was very tired. I looked very skinny. I was like, am I going to make it as a work rider or not? But as time goes on, everything kept on improving, and Mr. James Maree was always by our side, encouraging us and doing all the sorts.
Obviously, you also get a lot of confidence with more races you ride in.
Exactly. The more you ride, the more you get confidence. And every time after Chamu ride, Mr. James Maree is always very close. He's showing you, okay, you did this right, you did this wrong. Next time you must do this, must do this. We never stop learning until now.
How has it changed your life by winning these races, bringing in more income? How's it changed it for you?
Julie, it has really changed my life. I want to be honest. First when you come as an apprentice groom, come there, you just get at least you're working for one trainer, a little wage. That is not even enough for you only. But as I started work riding, getting rides, everything is easy. Can manage, put food on the table, children go to school, crèche and everything.
So it's really changed your life. It's given you a better life for you and your family.
Exactly, Julia. And
Okay.
it's not only me and my wife or what, even the parents back home, they need our support.
Yeah, it's all the people, and I think that's what you said at the awards dinner the other night. It's the people that actually rely on these guys so much, James.
Yeah, one successful work rider, family members, friends, etc., he might be feeding 10 or 12 other. I don't think we realize the spin-off of one successful bloke, and he can support a lot of people, and it makes a hell of a difference to their lives. And so I think that's great, especially if they're committed and they're really dedicated, they can go all the way.
Do you feel that you're getting the support from the racing industry?
Yes, I can't complain. I mean, the Racing Trust, Pumalela Gaming and Leisure, and the Racing Association, National Horse Racing Authority, they've all supported. It was a bit of a battle in the beginning, but they realised that it's something that has to be done, and I've had full support, and I must compliment them for it, because without their support we could never have got here. It takes a lot of people and a lot of doing to get to this stage, and I must say thank you to these people that have really stood behind us and given these blokes a chance. Majority of the staff in the racing industry are the groomed work riders, so at least we give them a chance to reach their full potential. If they have any potential, then we'll give them every opportunity to reach their full potential.
Do you set goals for the work riders in the schools?
Yes, we do. We try to improve. Even Chamu as a winner, and he'll come back to me, and I'll say, Chamu, you could have done this, could have done that. So I'm very strict and trying to keep the standards high, because it's important, because there's a lot of money involved and people gamble on them, and work riders are riding horse at 9 to 10. At least you want to make sure that he gives that horse every opportunity. All we're asking that he gives him every opportunity to produce his best, and I've seen blokes put 10,000 rand on a work rider, which is, and I've got the confidence. I know more or less most of them, so it makes a big difference if you've got the confidence in them. And
We've actually seen over the last couple of years how these work riders have progressed. Initially it was one day here and there that they used to be able to get into a race and ride, and then it became a series, and then now we actually have work riders days. that we actually have, where these guys can ride in 8, 9 races for the full card. They're committed,
100%.
they make the weight, and a lot of the favourites do actually win those races, which is interesting for punters.
That's right, Julie. The whole day, to have a whole day with work riders is fantastic. It's really good. And so they've come to the party as well, and they can earn good money. Like Chamu on the last race day we had, the whole day for the work riders, he earned thousands of rand, and I mean a lot of money. I wouldn't mind earning that, Chamu, to tell you the truth today.
Absolutely.
So, but it's great, and they've done really well. And
Okay, what are
Right.
you looking to achieve now going forward with the work riders?
actually, really, what I'd like to do is just try and give every work rider groom the opportunity to reach their full potential and be successful. That's most important. We'd like to give everyone the opportunity to go through the school. There's no finance involved, no education. It's just great. They can come there, and if they show any talent or skills, anything that's just worth working on, we can take them a bit further to whatever direction it may be in the racing industry.
Well, thank you, James, for your time, for coming into the
Pleasure.
studio tonight, and for joining us on Breeding to Win. Of course, Chamu, we're very proud of you, and we hope that you continue with your great riding skills, and of course continue improving, as well as educating some of the other work riders to go through the school.
Yes, really. Keep on doing that. Already I've got some who are still coming behind the ranks. They always ask questions, and I'm always there to answer them.
Thank you very much. Thank you both for your time.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you in the studio on the Breeding to Win show this evening. We'll be going to a quick break and be back with you shortly.
New Turf Carriers is a family-run business owned by Mark and Dorrie Sham and their 3 sons, Michael, Matthew and Marcus. New Turf Carriers has been in long-distance transport since 1995 and pride themselves in excellent service, punctuality and loyalty to their clients. Every single stud farm and every single sale to every single racecourse, New Turf Carriers pride themselves in delivering your horse safely. The welfare of your horse is paramount, and it is to this end that we have our own midway stop between Johannesburg and Cape Town. This is situated at Colesberg, where we have a stabling facility for 60 horses, so that the horses on long trips can get off and have a rest during their journey. The bottom line is, New Turf Carriers take your horse from door to door with pride, passion and punctuality.
A striking individual, a magnificent racehorse, and now standing at Highlands Farm Stud, we take a closer look at Jackson, the stallion.
Jackson. Breathtaking class. Movie star looks. Winner of 3 Grade 1 races. The best classic horse in South Africa in the 2012-2013 season. Regally bred, his sensational sire dynasty, his illustrious dam line, crammed with champion racehorses and champion sires. Jackson's fluent win in the Investec Cape Derby stamped him as one of only 2 horses ever to be Dual Horse of the Year Variety Club.
Variety Club now being tackled in earnest by Jackson, and these two have the derby to themselves, but it's Jackson who's claiming the advantage. Variety Club has no answer, and Jackson is storming home. Jackson draws off to win the derby in great style from Variety Club. Tribal Dance got up for third ahead of Patala Palace.
It's humbling to work with horses of his caliber.
His next Grade 1 win sees him easily account for 8 Grade 1 horses.
Now Jackson's putting on the pressure. Down the inside, Showgunner. Then Master Plan down the inside, White Line Fever. But Jackson now strikes the lead. White Line Fever tries to run on, but Jackson's got them all stone cold in the Daily News. And Jackson's impressive. Vettel fights back for second. Showgunner third, then White Line Fever, Pomodoro and Master Plan.
He's, like I said the last time, he's a top horse. He do his job. You know when he get here what he must do. Yeah, I must say, like I said, Brett worked very hard with his horse. This is his race he came to Durban for.
And in the Champions Cup, Jackson once again came from a good few lengths off the pace to win easily.
Jackson's turn to apply the pressure. Jet Explorer's a runner. White Line Fever, but Jackson and Jet Explorer. Yes, Jackson with fire in his eyes. And it's Jackson the last 100 like a ball of fire wanted. Silvano's Jet second.
He's a fantastic animal. You know, he's world class. He's won 3 Group 1s. He doesn't have to say anymore. He's done the talking.
He won 6 races and was placed 7 times in just 17 starts. He won or was placed in 6 Grade 1 races. Jackson is a son of South African sire sensation Dynasty, Equus outstanding sire with his first crop to race, and the sire of 4 Equus awards in his first crop. Jackson's dam to date produced 4 to race, 4 winners, 2 stakes winners. And she is a daughter of Goosen, who was 1985 American champion turf male racehorse and 1996 USA champion sire. He got 7 champions and is the dam sire of more than 60 stakes winners, including the sensational sire Pivotal. Goosen is also the sire of champion 2-year-old and dual champion older sprinter miler in Japan. Admire Goosen. Jackson's Grand Dam is a daughter of Gone West, whose daughters have produced 115 stakes winners worldwide, with earnings of over 134 million US dollars, including Motivator, sire of the gallant Arc winner Trev, also the dam sire of Awesome Feather. Jackson shares the same dam line as Sail from Seattle, sire of the 2014 Cape Guineas winner, as well as champion American sire Smart Strike, and his brother Strike Smartly, who stood at Maritzfontein Stud, and quadruple champion and Horse of the Year Dance Smartly, and of champions Sky Classic, Regal Classic, Grey Classic, Classy and Smart, and others. Jackson stands at Highland Stud Farm and is managed by John Freeman.
Well, the first South Africa $1 million race is on everybody's lips at the moment, and we're looking forward to 2016, where we will see our first graduates partake in this race. Great to have in the studio with me, Goosen, who has put together the 10-bar syndicate to partake in this race. And Louis, a great initiative. Well done.
Thanks, Jules. Yeah, we just think it's a no-brainer. 10 bar, which is 10 million rand. The way the rand's going, it might be more.
Yeah, you're right. Come 2016, we might be racing for 14 million.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, I mean, I think $1 million is not to be scoffed at. And look, we looked at it this way and said, how do we get the normal owner involved? How do we get, and also there's a lot of potential out there to bring in new owners. That's our job as racehorse trainers, as a racing stable. And then most importantly, where do I get my stock from every year? To race, I have to buy babies every year, any yard does. So we bought these 8 horses and said, let's syndicate, put them together in a syndicate and let's see what happens from there. You know, you just look the other day in, where, you know, if you look at Legislate, Louis the King, nice name, eh? Louis the King and Rake's Chestnut, all 3 Cape, it's Drakenstein, it's Chevrolet, and it's, you know, it's the Cape breeders, the Cape breed very nice horses. So there wasn't much convincing needed to go to the Cape and buy a Cape bred horse. anyway. And then you've got this $1 million incentive. Now, if you just, you know, we didn't go and buy 2 and 3 million rand horses. We bought normal horses, which we've selected. The same way we selected by West Goddess, Variomata, Negev, every year Trip Tees. We find our nice horses every year. We've used the same way to select these horses with an eye to the 1400, the big race, but with an eye to a good, very, very good priced horse.
Well, I think that's the key, is to buy the precocious horse that you know will come a little bit early, and that you know will be able to like sprint, but not an out and out sprinter like a 1,000-meter dash type of horse that will get probably the 1,600 meters as it matures. And so I think that was the key. And you obviously selected 8 horses off the 2 sales that you could buy from.
Yeah, we actually only went to book 2.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to book 2. Yeah, yeah. Starry Night. My dad trained a horse called that. Lauren named that horse. Yeah, there's 8 horses, 7 fillies, 1 colt. To come out of a sale like that in the Cape for $1 million race, and in total with all your costs, you know, you've got your transport costs up, you've got your scoping, you've got to pre-travel the horses, etc., etc., etc. To come out at 600,000 or 700,000 rand for 8 horses in gross, it's not money. Yet we've also had to say, how do we get the smaller guy involved? Let's bring him into racing. Let him share our dream, because that's what we do, Jules. You know, you've grown up in a racing yard. It's 90% the dream, the passion. Let him get in. So we broke it up into 25% shares. So you can take 10 of those 5% shares. You can take 50% of the whole lot, but it's easier to get in. You've got your foot in the door in 8 racehorses. 5% at about, I think the figures we gave to Andrea, there's 36,870. Call it 37,000 rand. 37,000 rand. You got your foot in the door. You're in the 10-bar syndicate. 8 horses eligible to qualify for $1 million race.
Do you think it's going to be easy for a Gauteng horse to get into Cape Town and into the race? For the program, that's what I'm asking you.
No, not at all.
It's going to be a bit tricky. So what is your
No, I can't say it's tricky. I don't think it's going to, I don't think it's going to be easy, you know, because you've got to qualify for any race. That's what I'm trying to say.
And I mean, there's going to be a lot of horses qualifying.
Yeah.
So
yes. This is why. You know, we can go out there and go buy 1 horse for 2 million rand. It's a bomb horse. It's on paper, but they don't run on paper, Jules. They run on grass. So I'm saying I've got 8 chances here.
So you're spreading your risk.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. You're spreading your risk, and even if you've got a share in those 8 horses, you've got a chance of possibly getting maybe 2 or 3 horses to qualify and maybe make it into the race.
Yes, 100%.
Perfect.
And then of the 8 horses, I can tell you there's 6 of them you can definitely see. Moggy Two Shoes' sister. Now, you know Moggs.
I know Moggy Two Shoes, and don't be a muchu, aren't they all related?
Yeah. Well, Navak won 7, it's a half brother. And then Moggy Two Shoes has won 5 races already. And look, between 14.50 and a mile. Look at the range. The range is there. So we did look at that. There are 2 of the 8, I'd say, are going to be those real early horses. Yeah, December, January. Which I like to bring my babies out December, January. They're those sprinters that from the second dam or something you can see, okay, they might get the 14. But 6 of the 8 will definitely. The mothers have won from 1,000 to a mile. The family have won in that distance, and we haven't gone for the out and out 2,400 meter out and out stayer, because I don't think that's the right horse for a 1,400 meter race. $1 million.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, and that's why I said you've hit the nail on the head when you've gone and you've selected which horses you think will be perfect for those races. And I think where you've also done well is you've bought value for money. You haven't overspent, you're spreading your risk, and you've got it all pretty much in a package.
Yeah, Jules, that really is what we said. We have to in racing. It's a responsibility of every trainer. It's what we do. We are the marketing arm of racing. So we've got to go out there and bring new people into the industry. That's how the industry will grow. And we've got to do it properly, and we've got to do it the right way. And I think here you can bring somebody in, so it's 37,000 rand a month. The horses are now in spelling, then I'll go to pre-race conditioning. I step my rates in the yard, and then you go to full training, which are full training rates. And by the time some of them will be running, Moggy's sister will still be in spelling, because they take long.
Yeah.
Right horse for the race, it's a 3-year-old race. But you got the spread. But excuse me, approximately 2,500 to 2,800 rand a month. That's really what you're in for your share.
Unbelievable.
So it's not sticking you out.
Just talking about the book 2, or the second sale from Cape Thoroughbred Sales, I saw a lot of value for money over there. A lot of horses that were quality bred, but a lot of people that where we thought they'd get, I think, a lot more for them, that they weren't going, you know, and it just gave the smaller trainers an opportunity to actually kind of get involved.
Absolutely, Jules. Let's face facts. There are a handful of your seriously big buyers, and if you want to extend that handful to 10 people, it's not much more than that. That when they want a horse, they're going to pay for that horse, and it just takes 2 people to determine the price of a horse. If you and I both want that horse, and we've got the sizable checkbook, and the last bid was 200,000, that horse can easily go for 3 million. The 2 of us will take it there until the one backs down. Sometimes it's a clash of personalities. I want it, I'm not giving it to you. Listen,
Egos.
Yeah, maybe egos, but that's what the game's about.
It is.
It's passion. I want to beat you. I want this horse.
Well, yeah.
And yes, and when you separate that, when you take that away, in a sale like this, when there are those horses, I love those sales. I love those sales where there are those 10 or 15 really, really great horses on paper, and they look good in that. So right, those boys are going there now. They're out of my way now. Let me find the value. And I mean, my most expensive horse that I've personally signed for has been Negev at 330,000.
Fantastic, and she's really done well.
Yeah, she's earned that back. She's close to $1 million. Yeah. So.
And I must say, your stable is ticking along very nicely at the moment. I mean, they're holding form. Your horses that are running are all there. They're earning their stakes, and well done to you and the team.
Thanks, Jules. Look, with 37 horses in the yard, you can't fire 12 months of the year, but our staff have been fantastic, and we've done well.
Yeah, the stable's certainly ticking along nicely, been very consistent over the last couple of months. Now, I know you're off to the farm sale next week. Of course, that's at Klavervlei Stud, happening over the weekend. Good luck to you with Grant Knowles, because I think you're in for a bit of a party.
Jules, this is actually the truth, yes. Now, it's an interesting thing, the farm sale. Last year I couldn't get there. I don't know if you remember that Move Like Jagger is properly named Rose Leop. Happy birthday, Rose, belated. She had a birthday early in the... I don't think she wants to be reminded about her birthday. But Move Like Jagger he's a very fresh horse, and he stood on Lauren above the ankle, broke her leg.
Oh, that's right.
So I had a string in Durban. It was Vic and myself, and we were, on a Sunday we would meet in Harry Smith for breakfast. He'd finish there, I'd finish here, and then I'd go and do afternoon stables, and Claire would need be back at the Val. Lauren was, down. So I couldn't get to the farm sale last year, and it was a big pity, because let me tell you, I went to the first one. Now, I think I saw Gary and Dean there. I don't know if you were at the first one. But what happened at the first sale, so you must never be put off by the weather in Cape Town. We know it rains, and it's bad weather. That is the best weather to go to Klavervlei, because of the cooking. I don't look like
cooking.
I don't look like I
think it's more about the drinking.
The drinking.
Never mind the cooking.
I couldn't drink the first one because I was driving. But you don't get to look like this if you don't appreciate food. And I tell you what, those Cape people, when it was pouring with rain, and they had these, and I felt sorry for them, because they put out these shade nets, and in this paddock where the horses would be standing, and you'd pull them out and walk, and they had to cram horses in all over because it was just pouring. It was just one muddy place. But once you got in, and you smelt those fires going. Anybody wants to go to the farm sale, whether you're buying a horse or not, just get there, just for the food. Nobody beats the Cape cooking.
And Grant Knowles did say he's going to put up some great entertainment. I believe he's doing the entertainment for the day as well.
Yeah, I tell you, this year it's on a Saturday, and you can fly back the Sunday. So there's leverage. I think there's something going to happen there. I'll definitely be there this year. Because I tell you, when you walk in and you smell that roosterbrot on those coals, and you take it hot. I can hear your producers, yeah. I can hear Llewellyn in the background.
They're all getting hungry.
They're getting hungry. It's the right time when we're doing this. It's the right time. Llewellyn must hear this. And everyone out there, this roosterbrot comes off this fire, and it's hot. And there's this fresh butter which you plonk on it with the strawberry jam. Guys, get to the farm sale. And that's starters. And the societies, and I don't want to start. Can we finish? Can I go to breakfast? Yeah. But also the quality of the horses. I think the initiative that John had, John and Grant, with the first sale was, look, there's the obvious precocious types that got to book 1. There's your obvious horses for book 2. And there's your obvious horses that, whether it's for clients of theirs or not, that'll go to National 1. And there were these horses that wouldn't be quite ready for that. And I suppose they tossed up between National 2 travelling and having this farm sale. And I think that's where it came from. And when you got there, you found the natural horse. Now, if you want to go and you fancy yourself to choose a natural horse, that horse has come out of the paddock, it hasn't been dolled up and fattened up for a sale and whatever, it's just your natural horse, then that's the way to go. I think the The first farm sale only had about 30 horses, 32 horses, and I think I bought one of the first winners off that. And
Unbelievable.
I'm telling you, you can buy value. If we're talking 10-bar syndicate terms, that is value in terms of $1 million race. If you want value at any sale, it's the Klaver Vlei farm sale.
Well, there you go. Then you've heard it right from Louis Goosen's mouth. Thank you, Louis. We wish you all the best with your 10-bar syndicate. And we'll be looking at those 8 horses very carefully that you've selected. And hopefully a couple will make it into that $1 million race 2016.
Thank you very much, Jules. I'd just like to say that, you know, I am promoting this. There are still 7 or 8 shares of the 20 available. I need to close the deal. If anybody's interested, please contact me. My website's simple. It's LGRS, Louis Goosen Racing Stables, lgrs.co.za. Or if you have my cell, please contact me. I have to close this deal as quick as possible. Don't get left.
There you go. Thanks, Louis, and we wish you all the best with your runners coming up in the future.
Thank you, Jules.
Thanks to Louis Goosen for joining us on the Breeding to Win show this evening as we go to a quick ad and come back with our last links. Well, Allan Bloodlines has been involved in horse racing for the past 25 years. They've been based in the UK, Ireland, and now in South Africa. Grant Knowles caught up with David Allan, who tells us more about Allan Bloodlines.
Breeding to Win caught up with David Allan. Allan Bloodlines, well, David's been around in South Africa now for some 10 years, but he frequently comes and visits, and obviously he has a growing mare band and obviously looks after a couple of projects as well, as Kirsten Rousing's Alado project. David, great to catch up with you back in South Africa. You're becoming quite a frequent visitor.
It's been just over 10 years now, and I think there's only 2 months of each calendar year that I don't appear here, and that's June and July for one reason or another, but the other 10 I'm here at some point.
Let's talk a little bit about Allan Bloodlines, because as we mentioned, you've been here close to 10 years now, growing your business, racing horses. Tell us a little about your 2 operations, both here in South Africa and in the UK.
What they do is, in a nutshell, a breeding consultant agent in the sales sense of buying stock at sales for racing and for breeding, fine. We're also racing and breeding managers, and we're principals ourselves. We have our mares in the north. We've got 12 brood mares of our own here in South Africa. A couple of those are in partnership, the rest are not. And I manage about another 14, 15 brood mares here.
We mentioned that you've obviously got a lot of mares yourself, and you look after one of the biggest breeders in the UK in terms of Kirsten Rousing.
Yes, it's something called the Alado project, and the Alado is the name of the stallion, a Danzig horse, bred by Miss Kirsten Rousing, Landwade stud, as you say, a major international owner breeder. And for one reason or another, that horse found his way here. And after a year or so, I was asked to look after him and see what we could do. And so we operate a program of carefully selected brood mares. We sold his first small commercial crop at the 2-year-old sale last year, which we were very pleased with.
you've got a host of clients in South Africa now as well, from the other end of the scale, where you purchase on their behalf in the UK.
It goes in fits and starts, obviously, because the strength of the rand affects things and so affects the situation, and so do economies. I think I have to admit, having checked this quite recently, that I've bought 67 horses from UK and Ireland to come to South Africa, all female, some to race, mostly to go straight to stud.
David, I remember some way back when you first came out here, you introduced a stallion called Lake Coniston. Now, that was probably one of your first ventures here into South Africa.
I did. I slapped L plates on my back and brought a stallion here that we owned ourselves, called Lake Coniston, who had been reasonably successful as a Coolmore horse, and then I'd bought him from Coolmore. And I stood him here with Lionel Cohen at Odessa, and that was really where the South Africa learning process started.
You certainly proved to be quite a decent stallion. And then let's talk about Titus Alone. Now, he was a Royal Ascot winner, and you brought him out here to race the Northern Time gelding, and you sent him to Vaughan Marshall, and initially you had some success.
Yeah, you remember him very well. He's still a pride and joy. He's actually still, at the age of about 12, I guess, working here with mentally handicapped children, which, considering he used to bite you at first look when he was in training, is quite a change. He was a very, very reasonably cheaply bought yearling at Tattersalls Island for ourselves. Pride and joy. He won at Royal Ascot for us, won the Windsor Castle Stakes, went on, won a couple more. Didn't really train on as a 3-year-old in the north. And so I thought, well, we'll just give him his time, bring him here. And actually, he was not well here for a long time, and then he came to himself and won 3 races for us here. So yes, Titus Alone's been a joy.
Well, Titus Alone, you sent to Vaughan Marshall, but Vaughan's not only a trainer for you, but he's also become a really good friend, hasn't he?
Yes, and you know, one of the great pleasures is that kind of thing can come out of racing. And yes, we are very good friends, and we see a lot of each other. And we've had, I wouldn't like to count, but a lot of horses over the years.
Well, in your introduction, David, you mentioned racing management. That's becoming quite an interesting thing here too, because obviously we've got Derek Brookman, racing manager for Marcus Jooste. We've now also got Justin Vermaak, who's racing manager for Main Chance Farms, and also Kevin Somerville for Drakenstein. So it's certainly something that seems to be on the up here in South Africa, and it's something that you've been doing for some time.
Racing management is very different, say, between the UK and Ireland and here, for one fundamental reason. Racing here is largely regional, as it is in Australia or the US. And so essentially you're dealing, if you're in the Cape, with Kenilworth and Durbanville, or if you're in Durban, you're dealing with 3, soon 2 courses. And so it's a very different racing equation. In the UK, we've got 36 or whatever it is, flat race courses, all technically within, accessible from every training place. And so when I am looking at a race for a particular horse, which I would do well in advance, having obviously a clue as to when we may be running or ready to run, then I'd be looking at 15, 20 races across a spread of about 10 days, bearing in mind racing 7 days a week, 3 meetings a day. So it's a different equation. But the angle, which is, I think, most applicable here for now maybe and the future, is the whole communication thing. In that trainers who like having racing managers involved like it because they don't have to explain everything from first principles, because racing managers can help induct people into this fantastic sport and indeed industry that we have, and can make it enjoyable and make it comprehensible by spending a lot of time on detail with them, which trainers on the whole, they're not public relations people, they're trainers. And so to that extent, I think that assistance and that input here could be very valuable for a lot of people. Put it another way, I think everybody deserves to have a racing manager. Obviously, minds tend to be polarized, and people who are not involved in racing either have no view at all, no clue, or they have developed some sort of view which means they're still not in racing. So you kind of have to overcome all of that and give the opportunity and make it attractive, make it very social. And the reporting thing, the communication is so important. It isn't a matter of, we think your horse is going to run at such and such a time, blah, 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 which is not very complicated here because of the 2 or 3 racecourse locally situated, unless you're a wonderful horse and can be buzzed around the country, but normally. But there's always something to say about your horse. And even when we had our relatively small racing club venture here, which for the people in it seemed to go very well, but we just didn't get enough people. So by the way, we're having another go and starting in the next month or two, because perhaps that was then and this is now. They would get, at the very least, every 7 to 10 days, an email report about that long about their horse. Even if that horse wasn't going to run for another month, there was always something to say. The horse is doing this, its half-sister was doing that. This happened in the yard the other day. You can, and in that way, you get people involved.
Do you think that the $1 million race concept was something that is going to assist you as a bloodstock agent in drumming up more business?
Their very existence has been very beneficial so far, because again, it's polarized thinking. I mean, actually, you're all wasting your time. I've bought the horses that are going to win it. But I mean, that's what everybody thinks, you know. So it's a situation that is, overall, it's healthy. I think that it's a short-term situation. I think it'll develop in a different way. There will be bonus races continuing, but maybe it will attract people who will actually see that there's a broad spectrum of opportunity. Historic races, which may or may not be quite so valuable, nice places to go, all that kind of thing. So I wouldn't say it's the be-all and end-all, but it's a big help.
David, one of the biggest growth areas in your business is stallion management. You've got a really nice, healthy crop of young stallions to manage. Tell us how that one's going.
It's something I enjoy doing very much. Being involved with a stallion is always exciting, whatever is going on. There's always something exciting to do with that horse. And yes, we have half a dozen now. And frankly, yes, we could probably take 1 or 2 more, but that would be it, because you have to devote a lot of communication time. You mustn't bore people silly or drive them nuts getting an email every 5 minutes, but so far, the way that we do things, which is image-based emailing, does save people a lot of money in print advertising. And that's just a commercial factor of it. But really, it just takes one good horse. We have Elusive Fort, who we've been with, you know, since day one. It looks very much as if he has the makings to be, should we say, another successful son of Fort Wood. Maybe more successful than the others. You know, we'll catch Dynasty one of these days. But at the moment, we're just starting out, and he's very exciting. We have a new Stormcat horse coming in that I saw yesterday at the Alchemy Stud. Where's That Tiger? An absolute ball of speed, and he's got everything going for him. And then on the other hand, although in a sense it's a bit of a labor of love, you have a non-commercial horse like, say, Stage Light, who really has been hidden away for quite some time, now moves to a stud that really appreciates, and you think, good grief, you know, this is the only son of Mangeur standing in these parts, so that you can make something out of that as well. Not a bonanza, but you can get into very interesting territory. I shall certainly be sending a Darshan mare to him, because you're kind of silly if you don't.
You've booked space with Breeding to Win, and obviously you're going to be highlighting those stallions and obviously what Allan Bloodlines has to offer. And obviously we'll be able to keep up to date with the progress these stallions are making, but Elusive Fort certainly has got off to a flying start.
As a matter of fact, he's got off to a start that kind of took us by surprise, if we're really being honest, because here you've got a triple Group 1 winning 3-year-old and older horse that you really wouldn't expect to have very early 2-year-olds. But then bang, 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 these 3 came out, and they're not little squibs that are going to disappear. These are lovely scopy horses that did very well in their first efforts. So we're very optimistic, and I mean, he's a magnificent horse to look at. And of course, he now stands at Klipdrift, which, best way to say that is that can only be good.
Right, 2 final points before we move on, but the one, obviously, you've now recently appointed a new South African rep. How do we get hold of her, and what's her role going to be? And
well, she's Karen Wright. She's involved in racing to the extent that her son is jockey Gareth Wright. So she knows the racing scene, you know, very well indeed, as an ever-present mum, and as somebody who takes a professional interest. She's joined us particularly to help with the new efforts as far as a racing group is concerned. I always shy away from the word syndicate, unless you really mean it. We're talking about clubs and groups who in one way or another will become involved with horses and benefit from the money that they win. Karen is going to work very hard on that, especially bringing in people on the fringe of racing who like it but haven't actually found a way in yet for one reason or another, and people who are absolutely outside it. And that will also include approaching companies with whom we're connected or she's connected one way or another to do what, after all, major racing and breeding companies do anyway, which is use the racecourse as an entertainment base and a place to have fun with their clients and staff. So that's a lot of what she'll be doing. And certainly she'll be involved in the stallion side as well, because we have been and hope to be even more involved in regular requests for stallion services and everything that goes with all of that. So to have somebody who's got a sense of what's going on dealing with that is going to be very helpful.
Final question. Obviously, Allan Bloodlines has been pretty instrumental in being involved with the pin hooking, and you've teamed up recently with Balmoral. Tell us a little bit about that partnership and how it works.
Yes, pin hooking. Well, of course, it's a word that you hear every 5 minutes now in anywhere near South African sales. And I absolutely stand by this comment. Pin hooking makes the bloodstock world go round. Now, when you and I talk about pin hooking now, we're talking about pin hooking yearlings out of yearling sales and into the 2 ready-to-run sales, the Joburg one and the Cape sale, which is indeed pin hooking. There are also 2 other types of pin hooking which are done on the grand scale elsewhere, which is pin hooking broodmares, turning them around within a year and selling them and their foals, and particularly pin hooking foals, which is huge. This Balmoral exercise, I would say this, wouldn't I? But they are preeminent, they are superb at the entirely specialized art and science of producing a yearling which has been through a sale to be ready on a single day, which is predetermined 6 months or whatever it is beforehand, to show him or herself off, not madly stressed, but to show off exactly what the potential is there. It's a remarkable task or a remarkable achievement to do it. The people who do it in the north, they don't do anything else. That's what they do. Balmoral does it, and I'm pleased to be working very closely with them in 2 areas. One, the sales and promotion of the whole operation, both here and internationally, because we have quite a few overseas investors who are silent in a sense, but they come in and say, yeah, okay, I'll come into that JPEG or that dynasty or whatever it is that we've just done. And in sales selection, which I work with both Nicola and Mark on as well. So it's a really exciting string to our bow.
Well, in summarising, David, 10 years ago, you stumbled across Cape Town, South Africa. You came out here, you started making investments into both the breeding and the racing side of business here. Is it still a country that shows promise for you? Is it still somewhere that you'd like to go? And do you think that there's a bright future ahead for racing and the breeding industry in this country?
Yes, I have. I mean, there are ups and downs. And at the moment, we have to wonder what the currency is going to do more than anything else. Because if you have an overseas head on when you're here, which you shouldn't really, you should have a South African head on, then your balance sheet looks a bit awful when the rand weakens. However, that aside, we're in a very, very knife-edge situation as far as African horse sickness and the protocols are concerned. Yes, some people will say, it's been going on for 25 years, but there are real green shoots which may well allow us to be in a freer import-export situation. My personal ambition, which may or may not ever be achieved, is to be able to breed here, and with other people, not just us, but to breed here to northern time, and for it to be worthwhile to export horses from here into Europe to be sold to race. That's my ambition, and that's what I've been working towards all the time. I need the export protocols to help. Believe me, as soon as we can have 2-week quarantine or whatever it is here, I'll be doing it.
Gavel House is a website that is selling horses every day. It is independent, proven, and reaches places most others can't. For just 700 Rand, you can advertise your horse until sold, where buyers and sellers deal direct and pay no commission. So why wait for an auction when we can do it all for you at gavelhouse.com?
The 2 horses being offered by Gavel House on breeding to win this evening is the unraced filly Magical Link by Parade Leader out of Google, 100,000 Rand on offer. She's a lovely 2-year-old filly from a winning dam line, littered with black type winners, has a good stride on her and has been doing 3/4 pace work. Stall work is perfect and she's ready to go into training. Now about her sire, Parade Leader, for those of you who don't know, son of the great King Mambo, he is the proven sire of Grade 1 winners, having sired 110 winners from 194 starters, including the Grade 1 starts of Pierre Jordan Don, Rudra, Laverna, and a host of stakes winners. Contact Nicola Copez if you're interested in Magical Link. A share on offer in Arrowsmith for 25,000 Rand per 20% share by Antonius Pius out of Winning Archer. She was purchased at the 2014 National Yearling Sales. Her dam, Winning Archer, is a proven producer with 4 foals to race and all winners, which includes stake performer Arrow Heart. Perfect opportunity for those keen to get involved in a filly from an impressive family with bright prospects for racetrack success. And contact Glenn Costin in the Western Cape. Well, we will be taking a short break next week, but we will be back in action on the 22nd of June with our next Breeding to Win show. On behalf of the team here in Johannesburg, we'd like to wish all the special fathers out there a happy Father's Day next Sunday. And from us, that's a wrap for our Breeding to Win show this week. Until next time, good night.